Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa buddhang dhamman sanghang namasami. Hello dear friends, I am Venerable Medhavi. This is our Dhamma discussion sessions from Tapovarana. It translates as a meditation forest, Pasal in Sri Lanka. Over the past few years, we start this Dhamma discussion and Dhamma talk on the internet, on YouTube, and since I beginning, I had a I had an idea to do the talks in English as well. But unfortunately, I am not a native English speaker, so my pronunciations and some words or some knowledges are very fair or very light. So I can make some mistakes, so that's why I stayed a little bit longer. But finally, I found Mr. Sakwitarana Singh's book, and thanks to the internet as well, now I am able to talk, and I can give some guidance and the things I think you can understand. Yeah. While I giving my talk, if I do any mistakes, please forgive me. And I actually already start this Dhamma talks giving in English a couple of years ago, on and on. And in these days, I think as a new beginning in 2026, I thought this might be a good time to start it all over again. So I call these sessions Buddhist counseling. It's because as a Buddhist monk, I stayed many of my time in the jungle alone mostly, and practicing mindfulness as a tool, not as a tool, but the method of to solving my day-to-day problems, including body and mind. So in that way, I have learned many of things, but if I compare with the Dhamma, I have learned very little bit. But for me, it's more than Everest mountain, because it makes me more happier than before. So that's why I wanted to deliver my knowledge and my wisdom and my experience with you, because I hope it will help you to overcome your sufferings and problems you have in your day-to-day life. Okay. So today my topic is finding light in the darkness. Okay. First of all, I wanted to say something about this topic as well. Couple of months ago, I had an invitation to do some graphic designing from one of my friends uh, who is a doctor, and it's about the hotline called 1926. It's in Sri Lanka, and he says, Hamdurane, in Sri Lanka, now we do have a very big problem, which is most of the people are very stressful. They are very stressed, and many of the people are in the depression or kind of way, and basically they are not happy about it. And many of the people are having thoughts of this is enough, and I wanted to stop this. I wanted to stop this everything, and some people succeed, on that thoughts, and they have given up. And in 2025, more than 4,000 or 5,000 people die in Sri Lanka because of the suicide. So based on that news, one of my friend told me, Hamdurane, maybe you should talk about how to overcome dark thoughts or suicide thoughts, or the how to overcome stress through the Buddhist wisdom. So then I decided to talk about this talk about these topics in Sinhala, and that went well actually. Yeah, I wanted to say that went well because I think it is people can apply day to day life. That's why it went well. Okay, so that is the main reason why I am giving this talk in English as well. The theme of finding light in the darkness. Okay, in our life, think about it. Who we are right now perhaps isn't the first choice we have made, but the way we came, and it it brings us to this very moment. Mostly this is not what we expected in our life. That is what's usually happening. In Buddhism it's called achintitampe bhavati chintitampe vinasati. If we think about it, or if we pray about it, or if we wish something I need or I want, most of the time that's not going to happen actually. But that doesn't mean we can't reach it. When it not going to happen, we have facing the dark moments or darkness in our life. We always think we have the solution or the way. When we win, that is where we have lightness in our life. Yeah, but as a forest monk, I have stayed in the forest quite long enough, actually more than 15 years alone, many of the time. And sometimes the darkness, how hard it was, sometimes I can't see my own hand in the darkness, but it is there. Similarly, when we have darkness, we can't see things clearly, but that doesn't mean it is not there. It is there, but we can't see it yet. We can't see it yet. Okay. In Buddhism, Buddha usually talking about the virtuality, we call it sila, and morality, and the concentration or calmness. These kind of quality, Buddha usually invite us to cultivate and develop in our life in order to make our life happiness. In Buddhism, usually talking about you can make happiness in your very this life. You don't have to die, or you don't have to go further to find your happiness. You can be happiness right now, right here. You can be peace. In order to do that, we have to find, in one way, the calmness in our life, because most of the time when we have the darkness, we struggle to find something, or we trying to find some solutions so quickly. But perhaps that that we are using that more energy, or we need to find that solution so hard. Maybe that is maybe that is the question, or that is the problem at that time, not the solution. Maybe the solution is, without trying to find the question, trying to find the solution, is stay calm. As a Buddhist monk, when we meditate, we usually see dark thoughts in our mind, and sometimes our physical body also not giving us any easy time. Most of the time it's paining, and sounds are sometimes noisy. It's not make us comfortable, and the weather and those and that, everything can make us more harder to resist or harder to bear. But when we practice mindfulness, Buddha usually in inviting us to stay with this very moment without going to change it, or without judgment it. Try to stay with the present moment, try to focus with it and stay with it without arguing it, or without trying to holding it. That's why mindfulness is the best medicine in our day to day life problems, because most of the time what we do is, when we see the problems in our life, we usually cling to it. Maybe we wanted to destroy or to change the situation, or we need to take it in our way. But in generally, this world is usually going with the normal way, what usually it does. But as a human, we don't expect that. Maybe that's why we have darkness. But mindfulness giving us the opportunity to accept the fact that we have this right now, right here. When we accept this, okay, this is what I have, and I am accepting it, in that way, we are comfortable, or we are peace with it. Perhaps not comfortable, but peace with it. We are trying to understanding how to live with it without arguing or without judgmenting it. That's how we became calm. We become calm. In our normal life, usually what we can't do that, so because of the our perhaps tender or something like that, temper, and we usually arguing with anything, and many of the time we are not agree with everything. we want to we want to disagree with many things. So with that mindset, in our life everything will be darkness, because everywhere the things, usually when things come to us, it not always makes us happiness, because of what we want to see it is always a judgmental way. When we trying to see those everything in judgmental way, everything makes us questions or disagreements or disapprove, not wanting, get rid of, something like that. That's why we have darkness. But how to find the darkness, how to find the light in the darkness is very unique. When you have a dark thoughts, perhaps it can be angry, or something like the defilements kind of way. Just try to understand, just try to understand that you have those kind of thoughts or those kind of visions or the idea right here, right now. That's how you become to the present moment. But many of the time, we are not in the present moment. Unfortunately, we usually stay in the future or the past. But when we think about it, of the future or the past, we can think about it, or we can draw it, or we can talk about it. But we can't live right now in the future. But we can't live right now in the past because it doesn't exist. What we can usually do is we can stay here, right now, in the present moment. In the present moment. There is a saying, yesterday is a history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why it's called present. Actually, right here, right now, the present moment is a present because we will realize who we are and what we do right now, what we think about right now. When we think in some way or in some level, we will talk based on that thoughts, based on that visions. We will work or we will make our physical activities based on that thoughts or visions. That's what Buddhism usually telling us. Mano Pubbangama Dhamma. Buddha usually telling us this world is created by our mind, not with someone else. We created our world. We designed it. When we think about it, we wanted to make it happen. Or in the future, it will be happen because the seed is always with us. So, in our life, when you have the dark moments, it's okay to be painful. I know this because I also had a very dark moments in my life. That's why actually I was think about to give this talk, even though I don't know much about English knowledge or I don't have much knowledge of English language, but I thought maybe I have to do this because there are people who had the same problems like me. Okay, so I wanted to help them. That's why I start this one. In my life, I had very bad moments and very bad time. Sometimes, how much it hard was, I wanted to get rid of everything, but I don't know how. I wanted to say something to someone, but there is no one to listen to me. There is no one to understanding me, especially no one to believe me who I am. But they wanted to believe what they what they think about us, not what we have or not what I have. But Buddhism or mindfulness gave me the opportunity to understand myself, who I am, and what I am capable of. How I do that is when I stay in mindfulness in this very present moment, I can live with it. At that moment, I have no problems with the future or the past or inside my head. It is very peaceful. It is lightness. Not not as a flashlight or something, but as a heaviness as well. It is very light. In order to do that, I when I giving talks in Sinhala, I usually invited people to be mindful. But the problem is, to be mindful, we have to remember it. We have to remember to be mindful. That's a problem. Being mindful is easy actually, but giving the command to be mindful is little bit of hard actually. Yeah. So what I could say discover maybe one specific method in order to practicing mindfulness in day to day life. I call it pause is the key. Pause is the key. When we do things, in science says our emotional factors and brain are work together, have to work together. But unfortunately, in this modern world or this chaotic world, I could say, we have learned not to use our brain, but to use our emotional part of the brain, not the wisdom part. That's why many of the time we are doing, we are working, we are talking, and we are thinking in the same way what we used to do, because that physical activity or that activity are now becoming solid or concrete or something like that, or that activity now have become the emotional quality. That's why most of the people are emotionally in these days. Very rare to find a person who work with wisdom actually. Talk with wisdom, work with wisdom, think with wisdom. It's very rare to find now. But many of the people think about the wisdom, think about the insight, think about the knowledge, or talk about it. Maybe write books about it as well. But when we living in the present moment, when we living in our life, that is where we have to be shine all the time. Otherwise, we are in the darkness, always in the darkness. But mindfulness gave us the light inside the darkness. What you are doing right now, right here. It's okay. It's okay to make same habits in one level over and over again without knowing it. But after you realizing it, after you mindful about it, that defilements will be fade away little by little, time to time. But you have to make effort to be mindful when you're doing it. For example, think about it. When you drink a cup of tea, what we usually do is maybe scrolling a mobile these days, go through the social media, or talk with someone, maybe seeing something like that. And sometimes when we drink our coffee or the tea, perhaps it's already cold, it's not hot anymore. But when we practicing mindfulness, what I usually invite to my audience is, when you're drinking cup of tea or coffee, try to stay with it, try to live with it, try to see your cup, try to see the color of the cup or the lid or the handle or around that area. Okay, you will see the different colors or different shapes. In commercial, they're usually telling us this kind of new mobiles are coming up, and this one has a portrait camera. It is very, it can focus so nicely, and you can see your images and things like that very clearly. Why? When we capture an image, it is it is so beautiful, but when we see the same image through our eyes, why it's not, why it's not that kind of image, that kind of beautiful? Because we are not pausing with it, we are not live with it. But we capture an image, we can stay with it, because it is still little bit of time, because it's an image now. All right. But in our normal life, what we usually practicing is running things. We want to see images or the peoples or things like that. At the same time, we like to hear something as well. We wanted to run. We wanted to run through our senses all the time. But when we capture an image, we have to stay with it anyway. That's why we can savor it. That's why I am introducing pause is the key. If you pause a little bit before you drink your coffee or the tea, you will see the colors. You will see, you will see the flame, maybe not the flame, but the air coming from the tea. All right. Otherwise, we will see these kind of things in cartoon. Maybe we like to see those, but we don't think we can see it in our everyday life every time. We will make happy see the cartoon or something like that, but we don't see or we don't think that we can make happiness seeing our cup of coffee or cup of tea. But you can do it at that time. When we can see the lightness in our life, what we usually do is calling our problems in our mobile or through our mobile or the device or something, laptop or whatever, or talk about those kind of dark moments, or think about the future or the past. We will trap with many dark situations, but there is a lightness in front of you. There is, it always there. Then you will touch your cup of coffee or the tea. You will, you will, you will feel the heaviness. You will feel the heaviness, and then when you drink it, your you what you can do is you can smell it before you drink it. All right. And your senses now ready to absorb the coffee or the tea with full of attention. Your lips will be ready to take that cup of coffee, and your tongue and your stomach, something like that. Anyway, if you do that, so think about it, you will stop, you will pause at that very moment. In order to do that, you don't have to come to Bolanka, the monastery in Sri Lanka anyway. You can do it in your any situations. What you have to do is just try to stay in the present moment. That is very simple. Be here now. My usual invitation you to is, if you try to find one thing in your life make you comfortable, make you lightness, just try to practice those activity again and again, at least within a week, several time in a day. Try to do it over and over again, because then it will become a habit. That's what we need to gain, because we have make our habit to not to be mindful, to not to talk not to talk with mindful, not to work with mindful, not to think with mindful. That's why we have darkness. That's why our senses usually going around, running away. That's why we can't make happiness in our life. That's why we believe the happiness in somewhere else. That's why we believe my happiness is someone else. They have to give me this happiness. That's why we pray. That's why we wish. But according to Buddhism, you have happiness in your life, right here, right now, all the time. You haven't seen it yet. It's similarly, when I'm in the darkness in the jungle, how dark it is to say, sometimes I can't see my hand. My own hand I can't see because it's too dark. But that doesn't mean it is not there. It is. Just we can't see it yet. But in our life, there is always darkness. Yeah, that's true. But the darkness will be over with the dawn, with the sunshine. When we think about it, we always think this darkness is always with me. But that's not true though. In this world, everything is impermanent. There is no permanent thing. We usually word the word concrete, like a solid or something, but concrete isn't permanent. It can break in time. So do our thoughts. So do our situations. When we have a dark thoughts or dark moments, it's like a huge cloud around us, something like that. No, we can't see the world clearly. We can't we can't live with the world with free mind because of our dark thoughts or something. But when we talk about our dark thoughts is like a cloud, but in reality it's in it's inside our head, right? It's inside our head. So when you go to the camera or the mirror, you will see your head if you go to there, and inside that head you have a one dark thought. That is okay too, but it is not covering you up because it is inside you. It is very small. But we think about it, we take it out and we keep it inside our face or something, and we trying to see the world through our questions or through our darkness or through our problems. That's why this whole world is become dark. When I was in Thailand, once I went to pilgrimage with bunch of Thai people. They were very kind and very good and very old. In our vehicle, when we go, it was like a far way, I don't know where, and it is very sunny day. We sometimes we can't see, that heavy. So one person gave me a sunglass. It is black color or something, and I put it on. Then oh, it's about to rain, something like that. So I make a joke as well. Oh, ฝนตก มาแล้ว It's in Thai. It says, oh, it's about to rain. Everybody laughed. But it is not going to rain, but what why I saw in that way, because I saw through the dark glass. Similarly, in our life, when we have a problems about maybe our failure, maybe financial problems, maybe we think we are not success, maybe we have cheat on, maybe people are not believing us or not giving us enough credit. Okay, something like that. It can be anything. Those kind of thoughts, those kind of moments, those kind of memories, we usually keep in front of us and try to see through with it to the world. That's why everything become darkness. But mindfulness usually inviting us to not see through with it, but take it a little bit further and try to see it, not see through with it. Try to see it as object. It as object or one thing. When we see about or when we think about in this way, our dark moments and the dark thoughts or the sometimes can be suicidal thoughts as well, only a one thought. It's just a thought. We don't have to fulfill that. We don't have to follow that. It's just a thought. We who we are, thoughts isn't who we are. Just one thought is not going to stop our journey or what we do right now or what we're capable of. Think about it. To this moment, we have came a very long way. We have spent many of our time, many of the money and effort. Finally, when we try to reach the end of our journey, sometimes that the target maybe we can't fulfill. Okay, so when we have these kind of experiences, normally people usually do is try to collapse, try to break it down, or try to stop everything in their life. But let me ask, is it worth to do that? Because you have used many of your effort to come to this point, and time and money. Maybe now you don't have the proper solution or you can't find your really good destination, but that doesn't mean you have came long way. But that doesn't mean you don't have experience through that way when you come to this point. If you go back, if you wanted to think, you can think about why I can't reach my destination right now. What was the problem? What was the reason? Then you will understand, this is what happened. That's why I couldn't reach it. Then you can change it. Think about all the time we think about the darkness or the depression or the stress or things like that. Maybe now we have created some kind of gravitations inside our mind or inside our life. This is part of our life. Depression is part of our life. Okay, stress is part of our life. The darkness is part of our lives. I need it. Something like I like it. But it can be darkness in our life, but that also impermanent. It can be changed. And not only that, you can see the lightness in that darkness as well. When you be mindful. When you be mindful about it. If you have a dark thoughts or something, if your mind says that you are a failure, Try to accept it. Okay, so what? So what? We can be failed. As a Buddhist monk, we respect to the Buddha, but he has failed in his last life. I think more than 7 years. So what? Finally, he understood. Okay, I tried so hard in a wrong way. Now I have to use in a right way. That's it. So in order to do that, he have to practice. He have to face that problem more than 7 years. So that 7 years is very valuable time for him, not for him but for us as well. That's why we have the Dhamma. That's why we have this Buddhist, or we call Buddhism. Sometimes we think when we fail at the end, our everything is not valid or not valuable. But that is not true. There is one thing we can't buy in a shop, in a supermarket, even in even in these days, people mostly using that AI called artificial intelligence. Even they can't make it, or they can't give it. It called experience. It called experience. When you do something, you will have the gift, one of the best gift we can achieve in our life. It called experience. If you think about it, you can be happy about it, even though you don't succeed at the end. Now you know what is the mistakes you have made in your way down, in your way back. If you're mindful about it, if you understand, or if you accept the fact that you have made some mistakes in your way, that you can change it. Maybe verbally, maybe physically, by activity, or perhaps with the thoughts, mostly with the thoughts. That's how we find lightness in the dark. Okay, that's what I wanted to deliver today in these Buddhist counseling sessions. Yeah, they're usually telling us how to be happy, and in Buddhism also they teach us the Nibbana, we call beyond maybe, but you don't have to beyond in this life to find a beyond. Yeah, you can beyond your emotions, your problems, your difficulties right here, right now, if you become mindful, if you become wisdom about it, then you can be happy about it. I am happy what I am doing right now. I am happy what I have done right here, right now. That is good enough. If you can't find a proper solution, try to remember to pause a bit. Try to take a little bit of deep breath and keep it for a second, not for long, and exhale it. Try to do this like a couple of times, maybe 2 or 3 times. And in that little bit of activity, your mind will be understanding how to stay in the present moment, or how to find the lightness in the dark. There is always breath with you. There is always you can pause. Even in the very arguable time, you can be pause. It's no problem. It's not a problem. You can do that. Yeah. So I invite you to practice mindfulness today to overcome your dark moments, Try to focus on one thing, what you usually do in your in day-to-day life, and try to practice those kind of things at least per week. At least per week, like I discussed earlier, like drinking a cup of tea. Use your every senses with it. Try to put aside your every devices and every other things, because that is the only time you will be with you. You will be with you. Many of the time we are with us, but in the future, trap in the future, or the past, or the social media, or other people, something like that. But many of the things we can do or we will do to make us happiness, but unfortunately that is not going to happen either. So that's why I'm inviting you to be mindful at this very moment. That's what I wanted to deliver today. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please reach me out. Okay. Today, uh, 2026, January 17th, and today we have two donors to helping support us to our monastery. And first one is Mr. Hemanta Jayasuriya. He would want to send this Mary to uh, lay died his grandfather, and may this merits to help his grandfather's past life, and he become healthy and happiness. And thank you for the supporting us as well, Mr. Hemanta Jayasuriya. And Mrs. Sonali Hettiarachchi is helping us to our to our monastery today, and she usually supporting us to make our comfortable, and make our monastery actually quite a nice place, because of her and her family members. What they do these days, they are trying to make us a tube well for us, so then we will have water, luckily. Yeah, before also we had, but it was little bit of hard to get to the monastery, a little bit of trouble with. But now I think that problems will be over. Yeah. Thank you for supporting us, Mrs. Sonali Hetiarachi, as well. And I wanted to thank for the people who listen to this talks through the internet as well. So may Triple Gem bless you, and to be happiness. Okay. And I'm thinking to doing these kind of talks uh, on and on, maybe next week. And if you have any questions, or if you have any feedback, how we do it, and what kind of things should I mention, or what kind of mistakes I have makes, please please make us a comment, or you can reach me out. Or if you have any dark thoughts, especially in Sri Lanka, when you're in Sri Lanka, just try to call 1926, and uh, it has a specialist team. That number has a specialist teams to contact you, or you can reach out and you can discuss with them, and they will give you the proper specialist advices. Or if you wanted to give some Buddhist counseling or something like that, you can reach us out in Tampavarana. Our number is 076 0766 108657. Okay. Thank you for listening. See you next time.